All I could see was a little girl. You present as a woman. I am looking at a woman, but in your session, all I see is a little girl who is hiding in a closet, and she's scared. She will not come out. I need you to figure out why she's in the closet and what she needs to come out.
Welcome to Crazy Beautiful Truth. I'm your host, Sheila Delaney, and I'm here with Harper Bailey, and we're in for a good conversation. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be with you today. I am definitely a listener of your podcast, and just to be a guest is such an honor. So thank you.
Thank you. That's
Mhm.
fun to know. So we're talking about loving ourselves back into life.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
For me, it's remembering who we are. I think that oftentimes, fundamentally, I believe we come into this world whole. We know who we are. Life starts happening at us, happening and coming really fast, and we get disconnected. And I know for me, that disconnection happened very early on in my lifetime, even though I was unaware of it. And so when we talk about like loving ourselves back into life, it's really remembering who we are and our soul's purpose, because we all are here for a purpose, and to know what our gifts are and to know what our purpose is really helps us drop into who we are meant to be.
Beautiful. Well, as we're talking about gifts and really looking at your background and your experience as a public health leader,
Mhm,
as a powerful storyteller, as an author, as a PhD, you are a
mhm,
doctor,
mhm,
you are married, you are a mother,
mhm.
and you gifted in the middle of all of that into the world. Your story.
Yes, I did.
What was that like, the writing of it?
Oh my God. Let me tell you, this was something that honestly, when I think about the bingo card, this wasn't on it. So, of all the things that I've done, and I'm like, yes, I want to be someone's mother again. Yes, sign me up. I want to go to school and complicate my life while I'm working a full time job, managing a full team. Yes, I want to go get a doctorate in the middle of that. So, I had participated in a lot of the things that have complicated my life. Becoming an author of a nonfiction work at that was not on the bingo card. I am very imaginative. I've been a writer and I've known it for a long time since I was 9. I got my very first diary. My aunt gifted it to me. And when I tell you, it cracked something open in me. So my imagination has always been wild and all the things. And then I continued kind of moving from my diary to journaling. And that became a practice of mine throughout my teen years, my 20s, my 30s, all the way up until today. So I still journal very often. And so when kind of I got that nudge that happens, right? When spirit is like, up, there's something more for you. Even though I was feeling pretty good about all the things I was working on as a consultant, as a professor, there was just this thing of like, yep, the next thing for you is to write. And I was just like, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe I'll do some nonfiction because I got some, lions, tigers, bears. I got it all in me, right? I can do that. I
Right.
can write about dragons. Why not?
Yep.
And it was like, no, no, no. This is about your story.
Ooh,
And I was just like, no, like I have learned through therapy how to be honest with my therapist. I've learned through therapy how to be honest with my husband. I know how to be honest with people who know and love me, right? But the thought of being honest and sharing my story with people who do not know me, that's a different level of vulnerability that I just was like, no. So I put it off. So
as we do.
as we do. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea. I even journaled about it. Like, yeah, write a memoir. Huh? Who's doing that? Only for me to start, I was like, okay, maybe because the nudges keep happening, right? Then you look up, you're watching a documentary and it's about someone who wrote a memoir. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, Spirit. I get it. I get it. You're just going to have the random lady at the grocery store tell me I'm a great storyteller, as I'm making something up. Like it kept coming. And so, you know what? I was like, hey, I'm going to start writing. How hard could this really be? I'm going to buy me a new shiny laptop. I love shiny things. And I was like,
Nice.
yes. And it would only be for this purpose. I kid you not, I'm writing the first chapter. My spirit automatically knew to go to my mom's transition story. And it was like, that's where the story has to start. I was just
Yeah.
like, what? The thing that actually like took the air out of my lungs, that situation. Cause my mother is like, she's my everything. And it's like the
Yeah.
story starts when your mom became an ancestor. So I would just start writing about the hospice and I mean, boohoo crying, like laying on the ground, can't get up. My husband would come in and he'd be like, yeah, are you sure this is good for you? And I'd be like, yes, my therapist said it's okay. And I need you to leave me alone. But every time I kept being like, this can't be it. It hurts, but it also feels good. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. So I closed the computer and I was like, oh, I'm going to walk away. And I did for 6 months or so until I woke up from a dream and I was yelling, like got out barely, within an inch of my life. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I like opened my eyes. I looked around and my husband's like, are you okay? Because I am a vivid dreamer. It happens. And I said, oh my God, I just got into a fight with the ancestors and I lost. And I gotta write this book. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I have to write this book. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way around it. It won't leave me
Yep.
alone. And so I gifted myself a weekend at my favorite hotel. And I was like, yo, when I get done, when I leave here, I'm going to have the outline. And when I tell you, Sheila, I left that weekend. I checked in on a Friday, checked out on a Sunday. When I left, I had the whole book in my hands, the outline. It was there. It was like
In one weekend.
in one weekend, literally, like it just poured. And I was
Yep.
like, because it was already there. It was
It was already,
there.
yeah, you just needed to drop it into the black and white.
That was it. That was it. And basically the ancestors was like, yo, we're gonna help you do this. It's not, and this is the first time that I've held a dream that I knew wasn't mine. Like, yes, I'm the story person. Yes, it's my story. But
Your
yes,
skills.
my skills, it's your
Yep.
storytelling, but you are sharing your story to unlock the stories within others. The pages, the
Oh,
words on
can we
the
pause there for one
yes.
second?
Yes.
To unlock the stories within others.
Yes.
That was my experience. I do believe that anything worthwhile that calls our soul
Mhm.
into something that requires our body to go, okay, kicking and dragging, maybe, eager and tired, maybe,
Yeah.
is about supporting and unlocking something
Mm.
in service of others. But we can't be of service to others until we do our own.
Yes. Yes.
So did the writing help you, or were you already,
Mhm.
well, was it part of your healing or was it a culmination?
So I would say when the dream came to me, I had recently like kind of turned the corner with my mom's transition. I honestly can say those first 9 years I was in the wilderness. Like literally just one foot in front of the other, just keep going, chasing, doing more of that, just because I literally didn't know what it meant or looked like to process grief. I just was like, I'm just going to hold it. And if I process it, then what does that mean? Am I releasing her and then I no longer have her? Like I just didn't have enough tools at the time. I had already been in therapy and we had started talking about a lot of the hard things that were going on and undigging some things in the past. So when I had started writing, I knew that I was in a place where a lot of the things that I ended up sharing in the story I was able to share because I didn't have like an emotional attachment to them. So the sexual assaults and things like that.
Yes.
Yes, I would have moments where I'm like the pit in my stomach. You could feel that, but not where I felt like that, where you're just really holding on to the thing.
Yes.
And if someone says something, man, I might blow up. I wasn't there. My mom, though, that because what I know now is that's why that chapter was so heavy is because that was 9 years of grief plus the things that I had not grieved before she had transitioned. And
Yes.
that's why it, like, hits you, like, in the face because it's all of that. It's the culmination of the grief, and that's how the story starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real light right out of the
Right, real
gate.
light reading. I'm like, "Who wants to go on this journey with me? Anybody? Anybody?"
Everybody.
Everybody needs to see how this
Everybody.
ends, like, what is happening? So, I knew I was onto something. By the time I ended up 9 years in, had this beautiful dream about my mom, which I talk about in the book, I was like, "Okay, I already knew." That's when I knew that I needed to write my story. So, it was like, "You're on your way. This is gonna be part of it to get there." And I will tell you, upon kind of completing in the process and how beautifully the book ended up coming together, and having others on this journey with me, it was so cathartic. is so
So good.
cathartic. Like, even just the way I can honor my mom and talk about her is different from when I started writing this book a
Yes.
couple of years ago. So,
So good. The other thing I hear you honoring, Harper, is your younger self.
yes.
There's this beautiful way that you meet her, you give her space in
Mhm.
her story. And for the listener, this is one of the things that really is so meaningful to me as a reader and, as a humaning out in the world, is this idea of honoring all of the places we've been and honoring all the women we have been or people we have been.
Mhm.
Tell me about that, your younger self showing up.
Yeah. And honestly, when I was writing the story, I don't know, it was this thing about me and my younger self. Like, she and I, we had become so disconnected. And before I even put words to it in the book, I had realized that I was angry at her. I was really like, you made a lot of bad decisions. You saw people and you knew they were wolves, and yet you still went into with them multiple times and expecting something different. So she and I had a contentious relationship with her, not so much her with me. And so I ignored her quite a bit. I really did. And it wasn't until I went in and saw and had a Reiki session where I felt like I was at the height of like things were going so well for me consulting. I am traveling, I'm doing all the things I really want to do. A lot of, the therapy, it felt like it was working. I'm on my way. I felt that.
Yep.
Only for the Reiki healer to say to me after like 45 minutes, she's like, I have spent this whole time trying to get you to come out. All I could see was a little girl. You present as a woman. I am looking at a woman, but in your session, all I see is a little girl who is hiding in a closet and she's scared. She will not come out. I need you to figure out why she's in the closet and what she needs to come out. I left that session floored because she saw me. She saw
Yeah.
me and it was just like, okay, so clearly ignoring this little girl is not going to work. And while I had unearthed some things, I clearly had more work to do. And the Reiki healer also said, yes, I can see you are on your way. You're doing a great job. You've talked about things, but you haven't processed them. It's like,
Ouch.
ouch, right? I was like, this already hurts. Ma'am, in case you don't know, like the stairway to healing is hard, okay? You fall, you slide down some stairs, you get back up, you bust your lip. Like, I'm already
Yep.
hurting when I came in here and now I'm getting busted up. And you're telling me I'm not even there? And she's like, no, you have more to do. And she wasn't wrong. There was clearly some more things like the door behind the door.
Yes.
And it came to a point where I had to be honest with how I felt about little me. I had to also recognize that at every turn she did the best that she could, right? With what she had and all she
Chills.
right? Like, and
Yes.
just to acknowledge that all she wanted was me to see her. All she wanted me was to know that me and her, we have the same dreams, the same expectations, the same wishes, right? And that once we were able to reconnect, that we could go so much further together. Like we spent too much time apart, but the love
Yeah.
was still there. And so
Yeah.
being able to honor her and bring her forth was so much a part of the story and why it does one of the reasons why it's called It Was Her. When you look at the cover, that's little me in the mirror, right? The adult lady, and she sees an image of her younger self because it's honoring the little girl in me who
Yes.
always wanted to be seen by me.
Yeah. Oh, so many things I love about that. You said in our pre-call that wholeness is our birthright,
Yes.
but wholeness comes with the integration
Mhm.
of that younger self, of
Yes.
our wounded selves, of our bad decision-making selves, of our arrogant selves, right? What's coming to mind is this idea that we are growing into the people that our younger selves would have been safe with.
Oh, that's so yummy. Oh my gosh. Now that gave me chills. Oh.
Yeah. And
Mm.
having read your story and
Mm.
it just feels so true for you.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
just laid out as a path for people who don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
And yet here we are, we are the people that our younger selves would have felt safe with.
Absolutely, and the intentionality behind it is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And I think just again, just to the this belief of wholeness is our birthright, it means that it's already there. It's yours. You've already have it. It's in your hands, even if you do not feel whole in this moment. And I respect that and I get it.
Yep.
Because there were times where I was just like, I am broken. I know it. My heart is broken. I am sad. Like I have felt all the things. And yet still recognizing that to be whole is something that belongs to me and that it's up to all parts of me, right? Once we know that this is ours, it's up to all parts of me to reclaim that wholeness. And now I'm able to move about the world in a way where it's like there's nothing no one can take from me, right? When it comes, this is mine. You can't take my wholeness
Yes.
away. And that the connection that I have with self is from a place of like grounding and knowing, which sets me up, right? For love, for expansion, to be able to connect with others in a meaningful way because I've learned how to do it with all parts of myself.
Yeah.
Honestly, like being honest and looking at yourself in the mirror, right? Being okay with not loving what you see, but working your way into it. Like, there's just so
Yeah.
much empowerment in that, and I just feel like at a time like today, where I just feel like as a society, as a community, we are so disconnected from each other, but what it really stems from is the disconnection from self. That's where it starts.
I agree with you 100%. And my language around it is that I set an intention years ago to become friendly with all the parts of myself. Like, I don't have to
Mm.
love them all yet. They need to not be rude when they come in the room,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
And just learn to be friendly so that there is no part of me that surprises me anymore.
Mhm, mhm.
And if somebody pops up, I'm like, "Oh, okay, good to see you.
Yes,
Haven't seen you in a while. Now what?" But now I'm tooled. I've done it enough times.
yes.
Welcomed in hard parts. And there's something about this, we'll call it a journey, something about this remembering, I'll call it that, this remembering
Mhm.
of ourselves that
Yes.
I see in your story that I relate to, that I've seen, and borne witness to, is that there is this, the more at ease we become with all of the parts of ourselves, the more shows up. So
Mhm.
it's not like we hit this pinnacle.
You are so right. No, there's always more, right? There's
Yeah.
always more. Yes, and I think
Yeah.
about it, yeah, I'm glad you said it like that. I often talk about that as being like my edge. Often, like, I'm like, the next edge will present itself when I'm ready, whether I know it or not, but the timing will be divine, and then I'll learn something else about myself and remembering who I am, because this is this
Yes.
constant dance, right? And
Yeah.
once you know what it is, you can be more inviting. You can be more in a place where you can witness and really
Mhm.
not hold any judgment about that part of yourself or things that you have forgotten about yourself, and to really honor all the pieces that make you you, right?
Yeah. So good. So I want to read just a couple of just
Sure.
highlights
Okay.
as we're talking about this part there. And what I'm thinking about is the before,
Okay.
right? In the course of the journey, we have these places that are marked by, I'm not who I want to, I'm uncomfortable, I'm sad, there's pain, there's suffering, there, all of these different things.
Hmm.
And then something has to wake us up. Back to
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, there is somewhere a call to adventure. There is somewhere no, not this, no more, I'm done.
Hmm.
Right. So in one place, there is an emptiness gnawed at my insides, a hollow echo that left me shivering in a crowded room, desperately seeking warmth in the smiles of others. Life was happening to me, and I had given in to the fact that I wasn't the active participant that I wanted to be.
Hmm.
The other thing related is the hunger that you refer to later, which is I wanted my fire back. I wanted it all back, my dignity and my purpose.
Hmm.
Tell me about the recognition of wanting
Hmm.
that back.
You know, it's so interesting, and I just have to call this out. When you are reading the words that I wrote, even when I read my story, I feel like I'm witnessing someone else's story. I have to say this, and I need listeners to understand, like, this calling and this purpose, that when I was writing, yes, it's my story, but because it was this co-creation between me, God, and my ancestors, I pulled back things and words that I had never even thought to say or string together that
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be like, "Is that me? Did I did I write that? Did I have those moments because it's like, man, I was just really in it. I was in a place where
Yes.
there was no ego, there was no thinking. It really was just a place of true vulnerability and love, right? And
Yeah.
just being honest. And so this thing about like that fire, the interesting part is I like to think I've always had fire in me.
I
Just
can't imagine it not being true.
I feel like when I look back at me and little me, I always was this go-getter and always was a seeker. I just think that things had happened to me that dimmed my light. I had, situations where people let me down or things didn't go the way I had expected them to be or had planned them out to be. And my fire just kept being
And
dimmed
you
and
had
dimmed.
people hurt you,
I had people hurt me, people
really hurt you.
who
Yeah.
loved me, who said they loved me, people who showed me different sides, people who were close to me and people who weren't close to me. So it was like I was had some confusion about what it meant around safety and protection. And that happened very early on as a young kid. And so I think that really just set me up for a lot of discourse and what I was seeking out in the world. So when we think about kind of that fire, it was always there. And something kind of hit me where it was just like, I know happiness is for me because I've had moments where I've experienced happiness. So I know what happiness looks like. I know what joy, when it sticks around and stays for a little bit, I know what it feels like. And it was like, what would it look like if I really just detached myself from any outcome and just went for the joy? Went for the happiness. One of our therapists, because I saw multiple therapists as part of my journey, the therapist that my husband was seeing. And one of the things he kept asking, like, what does happiness look like for you? Because he kept saying, I think what you are defining it as is something that feels not real even to you. Are you even being honest? And do you even know what types of things bring you
Yes.
joy and make you happy? Which again made me sit up and say, I honestly can't answer that question. So guess what? I got to go look into that so that I can speak to the things that actually light me up and keep me going. And then once I know what those things are, do the work to keep bringing them to me over and over again.
So let me ask you, something inside of you made you bother to go find out,
Yeah.
made you bother to push through the not knowing.
Mhm.
What is that within you that facilitated that, do you think?
I think it was just the discontent with my life and not being happy. Waking up, having the wet pillows, presenting as someone who had it all every time. And I was like making these lofty goals and hitting them, like knocking them out the park, excited for 2 seconds. And I was like, there's no way I worked so hard for this. And yet the joy wouldn't sustain. And so it was like something else is going on, something
What a
else.
great clue.
Yeah,
Like, what a
right.
great
Like,
symptom. Yeah.
something is happening because every time and I do believe there was a session I had with my therapist, and she said this whole time, "I think you believe you were running towards something when in fact you probably were running from something." And I was like, "What? What am I running from?" "Oh, you talking about all that stuff I buried in the box down in the corner?"
Exactly.
"What, you talking about that? Oh, no, we took care of that many, many years ago. What are you talking about? The way that I'm doing this isn't working." She wasn't wrong. She was not
Yeah.
wrong, and then she was like, "We gotta dig in. We gotta dig in because it's getting in the way of you really dropping into who you are."
Getting in the way and being honest about that and
Yes.
really acknowledging it's this journey, this is not for the faint of heart.
Oof.
What I hear you describing is, in my language, it's this radical self-trust.
Mhm,
And my guess with you is it's radical self-trust in you, with your ancestors, with God,
mhm,
with your relationship with your mother,
mhm.
with your support systems. But it has to start with this radical self-trust that you can weather this.
Yes, 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 yes.
Did you recognize it? Did you know that was coming?
I didn't know it was coming, but I know that there was a time when I started thinking and realizing, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. I don't know if I ever did trust myself, so that's something worth looking into, right?
Yes.
And then it was like, if I know I don't trust myself, I don't know if I've ever had self-trust, what can I do to actually start to build the blocks to get me there? And one of the things that I said was, and I remember writing about this, was that I can't necessarily trust the eyes of others because that has gotten me in trouble, right? That's why you got the
Yep.
little girl driving truck. She shouldn't be
Yeah.
driving with a blindfold on, and she's just out here driving. Can't do
Yeah.
that. We don't want to do that.
No.
So it's like, what have been some kind of sources of like so safety and support for me and foundationally, and it has been my spirituality. And that was me having real conversations with God at that time saying, "Hey, I know I can't trust myself or the eyes of others. I need you to help facilitate some change within me so that I can build trust within myself." I don't know about rebuilding it because I don't know if I ever had it.
Yeah.
However, I want it. I want it. So what things do I need to do? And one of the things that came to me in that was talking to my mother more often. Even before I even started looking and better understanding what it means to transition and all of that, I started having real conversations with her and feeling like I was getting some answers. And that helped to build some trust, to realize that our relationship was still intact. And then I
Yeah.
started making small promises to myself and to see if
Oh,
I can keep them. That was a way to build trust. So it was that. It was those small
that's
promises.
outstanding. Especially because you were out in the world killing it, hitting
Right.
all the goals,
All
doing
the
all the things for everybody else. I remember for me, realizing that I was 100% reliable with my commitments to clients and
Mhm.
0 degrees reliable with my commitments to myself. 0. I was
Wow.
like, "My kids, you got it. My husband at the time, you got it. My current partner."
Mhm.
But the client's like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" I'm like, "Oh, that was gonna be my time away." Where I was like, "Yeah, I can do it." What other examples would you use, like, for small
So,
promises for
small
people to start?
promises to myself was adding time on my calendar for myself, and I didn't have to have any plans for that time. It would just be like, whenever that time comes, it's my time, but I couldn't give it away. So that was one thing. I started blocking off my Fridays where I was like, okay, Friday is me day, whatever that looks like. If I want to roll around and read all day, I can. If I want to go get my nails done, but that was time. So it started. I was like, oh, I actually have more time than I think I have, but it's just like prioritizing and not give. It took some time to practice. So I got to be honest. Did I make those appointments sometimes with myself and break them? Yes. Do I do that now? Absolutely not. I am it's like, do you have an appointment? I absolutely do. And that's the end of the sentence. I don't have to say it's
Yes.
an appointment with myself or it's my time. So that was one promise. I did make promises with myself to move my body because I recognize kind of that mind, body, spirituality, like connection and working out. I had never experienced that before. I had commitment issues with the gym and all of that. So I never had a gym membership. I was just that girl. I would go and try and I was like, I don't know. But figured out a modality that works for me and working out at home actually worked out. And so I promised myself I would move my body at least 3 times a week. I wasn't going to say it had to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I'm like, I got to give myself a lot of grace during this time,
Yes.
but you can get to the 3. And I
Yeah.
did, and I would make it. With my writing sessions, I promised myself once I realized, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. I had the outline in my hand. I am a very disciplined person. How can I use that discipline for this specific purpose? And it was okay, 3 writing sessions a week, 1,000 words each session. And I did
Beautiful.
it. I did it. And so it was just like, okay, I know I'm ready to make another promise to myself. Okay, this is the next promise. And I just keep
Mhm.
going. And now I get to a place where I'm like, I don't break promises that I make to myself. I can't. They're
Yeah.
non-negotiable. And that has helped to build trust in myself and knowing that I'm gonna always show up for me.
So good. So what would you to say to somebody who's trying?
Yes.
They're like, "Oh, I'm in the baby steps.
Okay.
I made a promise. I didn't keep it." Or the promise was, "Okay, I'm promise." This is one of the things I see, for example, is I'm not gonna let anybody get me today,
Mm.
which is tricky
Mhm.
because that's not the kind of promise that it's still a response to
Yes.
environment as opposed to
Mhm.
something for me,
Yeah.
right?
So
But I'd
that's
see
the
people
first
go
thing.
down.
Yep. You
Yeah.
wanna
So
start.
what would you say?
So I would say the first thing is thinking about if you don't know, because I was in the same boat, not knowing the things that I liked, right? I knew things that I enjoyed, but I'm talking about things that really light you up, right? So it's not the going to the maybe if shopping is your thing, shopping used to be fun for me. And I was like, oh, I was in it. It didn't bring me joy and like fire. It was fun, got the new bag, great. But it's like, what is that thing that you do and you can lose track of time doing it? What is that? What is that thing that brings a smile to your face no matter the mood you are in? What are those 1 to 2 things right? 3 things, 4 things. And then what are 1 to 2 steps you could take to bring that thing closer to you?
Mm.
Every week, every day, start slow. I would also tell people to give yourself a lot of self-love and grace, because this is not easy. As we talk, we're talking about it, but we like actually doing it and like showing up for yourself over and over again is not a practice that we all just innately know how to do.
We were
So
not taught.
we were not taught. We were
We were
taught to
not
be
taught.
selfless. Actually, it's this idea if you're selfish, you're a bad person. And you know,
Absolutely.
it's like you taking out time for yourself and you could be doing all of this for other people. And it's like, yep, I've tried that. I got the t-shirt and the keychain. I do not want to
And
do
it
that.
broke me.
And it broke me. It broke my back in
Yeah.
several places. And I
Uh-huh.
realized that once I started prioritizing my own well-being, it actually created more expansion for how I was able to show up in relation to others. I
So
was a
good.
better mom. I was more patient, a patient partner. I could actually listen and be there for someone else in a meaningful way because I've already taken care of my own needs, right? And I'm clear
Yeah.
about my bandwidth and how I can show up and when I can show up and communicate that with ease. That takes a lot of practice. And I think that idea of just making small promises and then get to a point where you can master it, where you see, hey, okay, I've been doing this for a month. Check in with yourself. How is it going? And guess what? We get to change our mind. Like, there's no limit to me to that. I'm like, I was gonna say
Yes.
9 million. I'm like 90 billion, trillion, gazillion. You can change your mind, and that's
Yes.
okay. So the thing that brought you joy a few months ago, it may not be the thing anymore. You're growing, you're learning, you're changing. So what is the next thing? And get curious about it.
Oh, Harper, I love that so much. I see so many people, and I've been there myself, lest I make it sound like it's other people, um, who get, okay, if I change my mind, that's a lack of conviction. That's a lack of commitment. That is
Mm,
laziness. That is, that is a fault of my own brokenness
mm,
that I didn't follow through. And I just think about all the ways I was unkind to because I had multiple career changes,
mhm,
right? I went from banking to law to coaching and coaching to facilitation, changing my niche now into
mhm,
writing and podcast. And the early ones were very like, I'm giving up on this. No, am I giving
mm.
up? No, I'm giving, right? And feeling as we're stepping into something new, we're going to be clumsy first. We,
Absolutely.
we just are. Um, and so I really appreciate you pointing to this idea of giving ourselves grace
So much.
and the ability to change our mind because we're learning about ourselves. And what I hear you describing is investing in yourself as you would in a new friend.
Absolutely.
Like, let me see you. Let
Yeah,
me know you more.
absolutely.
Let me in more. Let me reveal myself to you more.
Mm,
So, so good.
yeah, absolutely.
So, tell me about marriage.
Hmm.
There is nothing like an intimate relationship to
Oh my
reflect
god.
ourselves back to ourselves.
Woo! I mean, talk about wanting to know who you are. This is another way, and someone who's close to you can see your shadows well before you can. I will say that so my husband and I, we've been together 17 years. We've been married 10 years, and we had a rough go at our relationship and even our marriage. In the beginning, I would say a lot of it because he could see things from my past that I had not talked to him about before I could even bring it up or even have the guts to say this thing happened to me. He also didn't have the tools to say it in a way that was kind or that would
Right.
land well. And so, and this was before I had been in any therapeutic setting. So imagine someone who is picking at a wound that I'm like, I've bandaged the sucker up. I've done the best that I can and I'm going to move forward.
Yes.
But he would go straight for it. He would talk about my dad and my relationship with my dad. And he would say, don't you think it's weird? I have not met your dad yet. And we've been dating for how long? What's going on with that relationship? He was also the one that would say, you don't talk much about some of the guys who came before me. What was that like? And I'm be like, why are we going backwards and I'm trying to be here? And what he was trying to say to me then that I couldn't see, it was this idea of like, those experiences, you are bringing them into our relationship. Even though you are saying you want something different and you are showing up as someone different today than the person before I knew you, something else is going on. Now, he wasn't saying it as nicely.
Yeah. Right.
He would be more like, yeah, so you have a lot of traumatic things that have happened to you. I have not. He would say this to me all the time, like, "Nothing ever traumatic ever happened to me. I've never had anyone choke me or slap me or, my dad isn't an addict." And I just be like, "Why would you say those things? That is so mean. That
Yeah.
is so mean." And really, he was trying to get me to see myself. And it wasn't until things had just got so crazy with us where we just stopped talking to each other because I was like, "We cannot, all we're doing is arguing. I'm stressed." And he's like, "Well, that's because you wanted this high powered job. You wanted to do all these things. You decided to go back to school. Now we have another baby. Like, these are things you said you wanted, and now you're tired and you don't have capacity for it." Not recognizing at all the motivations behind that and where that all came from. But it was just his thing was like, this is part of it. This is part for the course. But that created a lot of distance between both of us. And we knew that we had just kind of ran out of our tools and we needed to get some new tools. Went to a marriage therapist. And when I tell you, oh my God, all therapists are not created equally. I will tell you this,
That is
like,
facts. That's
that
so
that's
true.
just, and I just want to tell people, like, and even in those situations, there's something to be learned, but don't give up on your journey.
Yep.
Do not. I am here to say, yes, I had a marriage therapist, a counselor who would let us literally, I could have probably mauled my husband to death in that room, and that guy would have, he was scared of us. And he was
Oh,
just, and it literally was shouting matches. And because neither of us had been in therapy, we were like, heck, we don't know how this is supposed to go. Is this what this is? Is it about just coming in and airing your grievances? It wasn't about fixing anything. And to my husband's credit, but at this time, I had already had like no faith in our relationship. So I wasn't listening to him. He had said to me at some point, like, "I don't think this is working. It actually is making things worse." And I was just like, "Yep, stop talking to me because I don't want to hear anything you have to say." And this guy was supposed to tell you all the things that I've been telling you, right? To
right.
get you to change. And he is not doing the thing we're paying him to do. So I hate
Right.
him and I hate you. And it was, I don't know what happened. The ancestors intervened or whatever, but the therapist said to us, he says, "I think we've kind of reached the end of our time together. And my suggestion is that you both go find and work with individual therapists." Is what he said. He says, because what you are arguing about is not necessarily what you have in this relationship, it's things you brought into the relationship. And leaving that session, I can honestly say, and I wrote about it, I secretly quit my marriage and I broke up with that therapist. And I
Yep.
said, "Hey, I'm going to actually thank you. You did something. And I'm going to go find who this person is because I used to be physically sick when I would leave those sessions.
Yep.
Like, how, like, could not, like, felt like being punched in the stomach over and over and over again. I was just like, what is happening? This
Good
cannot be
clue,
what it
not
is.
the right therapist.
Not the right therapist, not the
If your
right
body
therapist.
is in dis-ease as you leave.
As you
Oh, man.
leave, like, I could not, and I'm like, "I brought this on," but really it was just to get to the fact of knowing that I needed to dig and figure out how I got here, where both of my feet were on quicksand, and I didn't know it. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened because I
Yeah.
got my therapist, and when I tell you, she got in my face, she got honest with me. She was the person who said to me, "I'm gonna let you know that this is gonna be hard. I'm not even gonna lie to you, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna actually get harder before it gets easier." She says, "But I'm gonna tell you it'll be better on the other side, and I want you to know today you're worth it." And when I get emotional every time because 'cause I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh," and she was not wrong. It got harder, but once we started, like, working and getting in there, the things that came up, the things that I had been buried because I really thought that I was gonna be going in there to just talk about my mom, to talk about why my husband's not taking out the trash, to talk about why life is so hard, talk
yep.
about why I got this job and, all of these things, and everything's getting on my nerves. And that's what I'm thinking we're coming to talk about, and she wants to talk about, "So tell me, when you grew up, how was your holiday? What was your favorite and, like, she's asking me these questions. I'm like, why are we talking about this? Did I tell you I had an awful day at work today? What? You don't wanna talk about that? You wanna know about my
Yeah.
dad and when he was born and about my grandparents?" Yes, because she was taking me back to the start.
Yep.
She was taking me back. And yeah,
And what she was doing, she was showing you you were worth it.
she was. Yep.
And that is good therapy.
It is. It
What a
is,
contrast. And
and
we
it's
can get the
honest.
occasional gem
Yeah.
from, the bad therapist as they did the not for us therapist, let me put it that
Oh,
way.
that's a good way. I like it.
And the not for us therapist who can come out with the gem that initiates the next stage.
Yes,
But I love that she spoke the words, "You're worth it."
she did.
And then she repeatedly walked with you to show that to you.
She did. She
And
did.
that she was reaching for, and we've already talked about this, that little girl, that young you.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
That's profound.
She was great.
So when did you start to realize
Mhm.
what you're starting to tip to the other side
Yes.
of the healing?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What do you remember about that moment?
It definitely was after I started writing the book, which was surprising because it was like I'm
Oh,
about to write about my healing journey and what's happening, but yet I don't feel healed. It happened after. I will say for me, what really kind of cracked me open was when I experienced my first psychedelic journey and working with the
right.
guide and really tapping into that because it unlocked something in me that I didn't even know was there,
Mm.
a memory that I have forgotten. How convenient, right? I have forgotten.
Aren't we amazing?
My God, our brains are
Our
amazing.
brains.
Well, I had, and which it's interesting when you look at the visual on the book. If you zoom in and look at the little girl in the mirror, there's actually an amusement park behind her because it was when I had a moment where I went back and it actually took me to a situation where between my mother and me that I had forgotten about. There was some assault involved. I was a young girl. I was confused. I didn't understand why my mother was so angry with me and hitting me in a public place. Like I didn't have the wherewithal. But what that experience brought me back to and what I realized on the other side of the journey was that I protection was such a slippery slope. My mother was a huge source of protection for me, but she also was someone who was carrying very deep rooted fear of the world and people around that then could cause her to lash out sometimes and get worried or to not she never had the tools to really process her own emotions and feelings, which then she couldn't give that to me. And so I was walking around this world in the same place, and that what I had been looking for and searching for this whole time was protection. When I was going into these relationships, into these situations, the little girl in me was looking for protection. And instead, when I didn't get it, I built up armor. Even though I
Yeah.
wanted people to come in and be with me, I had set up tripwires all over the place where they could never be with me fully because I was still trying to protect myself.
Yes. I call that my porcupine self.
Mm.
Yeah. Where I'm in there, Quill's pointed out. I'm like, why aren't you in here with me?
Don't you want some of this? You don't want to get in here? You want to get stuck too? Come on, it's fun in here. In
That's
fact, it's
exactly
not.
right. No.
It's not. It's not. It's downright uncomfortable, right? And you're
Yes.
delusional on so many levels, right? You're treating people poorly and yet you want them
Yes.
to come in, but really it's because that disconnection between your truest self and how you're
Yeah.
presenting is just the chasm is so wide.
So what happened after the psychedelic journey? What did you do with that memory?
Oh my God. I journaled a ton about it. I really did a lot of audio journaling where it was just like, because things kept coming to me. So the guide did tell us, though, that on the other side of this is that to always keep a journal nearby, be able to, things will come up and you'll make connections within your life that you just never saw before. And that whole chapter, Golden Teachers, is really what happened on the other side of this. Oh my God, I was looking for, I became the armor I was seeking. I didn't realize that. I thought there
Yeah.
was something about being tough. I was raised by a very tough, strong mother, grandmother. Like I had this string of strong women, and it served us. We were moving in a place, but moving out of survival, which survival and fear, like they go hand in hand.
Yes.
And really what was important and next for me was to recognize that I had been wearing the armor, but I don't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. Actually,
You
you're
don't need it
safe. You
anymore.
don't need it. You're safe. There's no more running. You're in a
Yeah.
position, you're in a situation with someone who loves you, who has shown up, who has had to go through his own journey, his own healing path, and has shown you that He's not going anywhere, is here, and can be the protection, and has always been a protection, but you couldn't feel it because you
Right.
had built up so much armor. And it was like, it's time to take the armor off. So what do you need to do to actually be soft again and be more into your body? So it was more of the mind body connection. So I just started doing
Yes.
more yoga and being into that a little bit more, upping up my meditation and really trying to get to a place where I'm like, oh, okay, I can move in and out of states of consciousness. Again, learning more and more about myself and those more promises, making more promises, get excited. And one of the promises I had made to myself was to keep seeking. There's more. Keep
Yes.
seeking. And that's actually what led me to Bali because I was like,
Uh,
yeah, I was like, I want to go to more places where there's deeply rooted ties to the indigenous people there and practices. It's all about wellness and they center you and well being. I
yep.
need to go there. I want to be in a valley, in a land where that is what they're
Yes.
all about. And that's what got me there. And it was just like, okay, here we are.
So good. So are you still healing? Is there active healing in process still going on?
Yes, I would say that everything, and I can honestly say everything that I wrote about in the book, I'm like, "Hey, I'm okay with that, and I can move through." Healing is a journey, I feel like is a
Yes.
lifelong journey. I'm still learning new edges about myself and things that, again, that I didn't realize, like, "Oh, okay, that's another idiosyncrasy that I didn't know I had, but hey, here we are." But meeting myself with more curiosity and love instead of judgment, and I know how
Yep.
to do that now. My relationship with my mother, I feel like, is stronger,
Mm.
and I no longer have
Do you know you glow?
a
Every time you name her, every
Oh.
time. Harper, it is beautiful. There is something that moves through you that is
Mm.
I can't not acknowledge.
Thank you.
I can see that it's a living relationship.
Oh my god, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
and I talk about her in the present. I share my healing journey and and this idea of not wanting others to live in the wilderness as long as I did. 9 years in the wilderness is a long time. That's a long time, and I'm like, "We
Yep.
don't have to do that. We do not have to do that," and so being in a place to be able to share some of the things that I did and continuously work through, right? Because the longer you live, more people that we love transition, and this is part of it. And now starting to see when people transition, it's like, okay, that's the end of one chapter, but the beginning of a new chapter.
Yes.
And what does that mean and what does that look like? And that's kind of just where I am right now of just trying to live as open and loving, as graceful, as curious as I can be, and bring as much impact as I can to
Yeah.
this world so that I leave it in a better place than I found it. And so here we are.
I think we live in a culture that can get addicted to the idea of healing.
Mm,
I'm always healing. I'm never there. I'm
mhm,
never arrived. And what I really want to point to that you are modeling so beautifully and you are just living
mhm.
is the idea that it is the living that facilitates the healing once you've done the heavy lifting.
Yes, it's absolutely it. Yep. Of this idea of just like, okay, just keep living, keep showing up, right? Keep learning, be open,
Yeah.
not being on the defense with life, like waiting on the other shoe to drop. Cause I've done that. I've done that
Yeah.
thing of like holding my breath and trying to brace myself. There's no preparing
Yeah.
yourself for what's next.
Turns out it doesn't help
It doesn't
much.
help at all. I'm like, that's why I need to let people know that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can try it. And I've asked a lot of people and it doesn't work. It doesn't set you up for success. But there's
No.
something about truly being here. And when I say here, I mean all parts of you being here and being in the present. And to your point, once you do the lifting of the things and the processing of things that have happened in the past, I do believe that all parts of you then get to be here and experience the present, which I think is so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like, this is where I'm my happiest, when I am just like,
So
what it
good.
is that's right in front of me, and I'm, like, living and all parts of me are just in it and feeling
So
good
good.
about it. Isn't this great? This is where I've been this whole time. I kept thinking I was
Yeah.
living for tomorrow and the future and the planning and the this, and really it's like, yeah, tomorrow will take care of itself when it gets here. The real work and the real opportunity to create and to love and to live and to do all the things is in the now.
Yep. It
So just
is.
be here.
Yeah. And that there's hope, there's possibility.
Mhm.
For anyone struggling about, yeah, that's all great to hear,
Right.
that it just requires a step one,
That's it.
a choice to begin,
That's it.
you know? Maybe try the journaling
Mhm.
or try the audio when you're walking or try,
Mhm.
what's some small promise you make? I used to be on the board of this mother-daughter philanthropic organization. And I remember the first year I came on the board, I was introducing the graduates.
Mhm.
And there's this way all the senior girls stand up and they give a toast to their mothers. It's really beautiful.
Mm.
But the first year I was there, 100% of the girls got up and some of them are crying and all of them are moved. It's really lovely. And every one of them said, and my mom is so selfless. No matter how tired she was, she did it for everybody else. No matter how exhausted she was, I saw her do this when she's sick. She's so selfless. And I want to be just like her. And I was sitting there, I'm looking around the room. Everyone's just weeping. I'm like, we broke another generation. We broke another
Yeah.
generation. May we please aspire not to less self,
Mm.
but to more.
Yes, yes, and to center ourselves and our needs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that we
Oh.
can,
Mhm.
because what you describe when all of yourselves are online, when your whole self is online, there is this crazy, beautiful truth that is at play.
Yes.
And then when something comes up for healing, 5 old versions of yourself can pop over and handle that while you're still, doing
Absolutely.
like, we're
Yep.
so resourced and
We are.
resilient.
We
Yeah.
are. Absolutely. But it's just that
Yeah.
acknowledgement of that, right? And so
So
just
true.
being mindful. And oh my God, the my heart was beating so fast and I was like, "Oh no, these young women," and thinking that sacrifice of self.
Yes. I'm like, no more sacrifice.
No, no.
Offerings of love, maybe, but
Absolutely,
not sacrifice.
absolutely, and I just feel like the
Yep.
greatest love that we will ever know and experience is love of self. And that, like, once you truly have that, your ability to truly love without attachment, to love from a
Yeah.
place, because you know that kind of the other kind of love where it's like loving from
Y
expectation and
yes.
attachment and it's
No.
conditional love. It's the opposite versus transformational love, where it's really the
Right.
exchange of pure love in its purest form. But, like, to really be able to do that means extending it to all parts of you first, fully and
Yes,
wholly, and it just I don't know, it multiplies what you're able to give to the world, right?
it does. And then we get to claim, I want a lot for me and I want a lot for the world.
Basically, and it's possible, I'm like, and
Yes.
if we all did it, think about what that would look like. Think about
Yeah.
that butterfly effect if we all had a place of wholeness and really owned it and honored it and loved ourselves. There would
Yes.
be no seeing another person as an enemy. There would be,
Right.
right? That person would be your brother, your sister, right? There would be your community.
So good.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is where we're trying to get to. I'm just like, I know it's
That's the
possible.
vision.
That's the
Yep.
vision. That's the
That's the
vision.
vision.
Yes, it's a part
And
of
if
our
we each
purpose.
own our small part of it,
Mhm. Mhm.
yep.
Mhm.
So good.
I'm with you.
Harper, where do people get more of you?
Yeah, so they can go online on my website, harperabailey.com, or you can catch me on IG. I'm dropping nuggets on there pretty often, Harper
Nice.
underscore A Bailey. So you'll get to see and hear more from me in the new year. I'm excited to keep sharing this book and learning more about others and their stories, right? And the power that it holds. I like to say that every time we tell our own stories and we honor our stories, we give an invitation to others to do the same and to come home to
Yes.
themselves over and over again as well.
So good. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your courage and your bravery and your willingness to step into this.
Thank you.
And for me, I'll just name it feels this work that you did for you, for your mother, for your grandmothers
Mm,
in this reclamation that serves all of them.
yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I feel that and receive it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.